Good morning, it's Amy Bennett with the AM Show. I'm so glad to be back with you today, and I'm so glad that you have joined me this morning, whether you're watching live or you are watching the replay. I'm so thankful for us to be connected. I would love it whether you are watching live or whether you are watching the replay, if you would say hello, give this video likes and hearts and comments, and I love to know who is watching, and I love to pray for you, and I'm serious about that. So I see a couple of people joining this morning, Marie and Christina, and it does not seem to always pop up and show me who is actually live, so make sure you comment to say good morning. Oh, Marie is already commenting. She says pray for her because she has an appointment for her tooth. So yeah, she told me yesterday at church that she has a tooth that is causing her a lot of pain and needs to come out. So yes, of course, we'll pray for you. Okay, so last Friday, I was not on because I went to the beach, and I didn't give a lot of detail last week of why I was going to the beach. And I'm going to tell you today because I've got something to share. So let's see, let me make this short story shorter. I have a friend who used to live here in the Charlotte area, and her and her husband moved, it's Glenn and Heather Lamp, and her and her husband, Glenn and Heather, moved out to Emerald Isle, North Carolina. For those who may not be familiar, you might know Wilmington, North Carolina. It's a little bit north of that. Beautiful area of North Carolina, about 5 hours from Charlotte. And Glenn is an artist. He's a painter, and he paints the most beautiful sea life. And he just has just beautiful bright colors. It's called Day 5 art, of course, not of course, but it's based on, you know, that God created everything in the ocean on Day 5, and so it's called Day 5 art, and they have a gallery out there. And one of the things that they are trying to do is a new YouTube series, what's on YouTube, but a new YouTube series called A Journey to the Sea, where they feature other artists every month. Well, I don't know if it's every month, maybe every month. Feature artists every month so they can just share their art and how, you know, God is working through them. They've had an author on there, they've had a musician on there, and then they invited me to talk a little bit about my podcast. Good morning, Kathy and Nancy. So anyway, it's just a little 10-15 minute deal, and we just had a conversation. Obviously I couldn't give like the whole testimony of Feathers podcast, but I did talk about just a little bit about how God really provided for this particular season of Feathers with our partnership with Dayspring. And so I just give that little testimony if you want to hear that whole thing. And I talk about you guys on our morning show, and what else do we talk? I talk about community a little bit. So anyway, I don't want to make today too long, because what I'm going to do is, I think they posted it overnight, actually. They were really quick on the editing. And I'm going to share that here. So I would love for you guys to take a few minutes to hop over to that that video later today. I think I'm going to post it as soon as I'm done here this morning, if I can get the link, so you guys can watch that. But what I want to say, if you don't get a chance to watch that and you're watching this is what I want to say, is that God is writing a better story. God is writing a better story, and this is what I've come to learn, and this is something that Heather and I were talking about this weekend. We actually were able to, I got up there and like immediately went up to the beach and just sat there for a couple hours. So we got to relax a little bit. We had a lot of fun. We also went to the one of those escape rooms. Oh my gosh, so fun. Oh my gosh, so fun. If you don't have one of those around you, like if you're ever on vacation, go find an escape room. You just like, basically you're locked in a room and you have to like figure out all these puzzles to get out. And oh my gosh, best fun ever. Anyway, so we're out on the beach. Heather and I are out on the beach, and we're just talking about how God has worked in our lives, like through our adoption and through the podcast and through this, and you know, she in her story, and we just said God writes a better story than we can. And in the thing that's hard to understand is, like, in the middle of it, in the middle of living our stories, in the hard parts, it's really hard, really hard to believe that God is writing a better story, because we don't like parts of our story, and it's painful, and it's torture, and it's hard, and you just go, how in the world, God, are you in this? And when you have the advantage of looking back on these hard situations, you go, okay, God, I kind of can see what you were doing there. You know, and so that's easy. Yeah, it's easy for to say, but it's really hard in the moment. I'm just thinking of some folks that are going through some really, really hard times, and it doesn't make sense. But, you know, as we follow the Lord, as we lean on Him, and we let Him use these situations to refine us, to kind of take us to, I don't want to say next level, because that sounds, I don't know, but He does. The Bible says He takes us from glory to glory. He does take us from glory to glory, and when we allow Him to do that, He is writing a better story than we can ever fathom. And that's what I would just say. That's what I would just say about, you know, what I talked about. So in the video with Heather, I talk about, you know, this past spring, I was in a really bad place, and this is, y'all, this is not a bad place. But as far as the podcast goes, I was in a, you know, hard place, getting ready to give up, and God was, and if I just held on, which I did, because that's what I just continually sought His face, then, you know, He was working it out. He was working it out. And it's not to say that if I had given the podcast up, that isn't God, and He couldn't use that and all that. Anyway, I just want to say, no matter what you're going through, God is writing a better story. And that's the little nugget that I want to share, is God is writing a better story, and just to trust Him, and to continue to seek Him, and in the hard times, go to Him, and He will use it for good. He promises that. Okay, so I didn't mean to talk so long, because I want you to go watch this other video. I'm going to post. But I saw a few other people were able to join. I think I said hi to Kathy and Nancy. Brittany was able to join. Tucker says good morning. Darian was able to join. Christina, I think I'm saying good morning twice to some of you guys, but that's okay. Good morning. So guys, it's a huge week. Let me just tell you that today I am interviewing the president of Dayspring. Oh my gosh. I am really, really excited. I'll admit, a little intimidated to interview the president of Dayspring, but I'm feeling really good about it. And so if you guys have any questions for the president of a large company, let me know. I'm also interviewing Ellie Holcomb this week. If you don't know her, you need to go listen to her music. And I'm also interviewing Jackie Watkins. If you want another podcast to listen to, she was the host, and she's one of the ones that got me into podcasting. I loved her podcast, Mud Stories podcast. She's not active on it, but she has done a ton of them, like I think 100, and I don't know, she's done a lot of those podcasts. Fantastic podcast. It really, really made me love listening to faith-based podcast. Anyway, so she's coming on. So all of these that's a sneak peek into some of my guests over the next month or so. So big week as far as the podcast is going. And yeah, I don't know. So Kathy says she's got a sick kid home from school. I'm so sorry. I do want to tell you, you need to get thieves. So I've gotten into, so part of the reason I'm having Jackie on, she has gotten into essential oils. She got me into essential oils. So this is not going to be a commercial for essential oils, but let me tell you, you need to use thieves if you want to do Young Living. And then the other thing I want to tell you is that my husband and I had a hard time getting up this morning. We got one of the essential oils is called cedarwood, and they tell me to put it a drop on each of your big toe, and this sounds so weird. But honestly, like, we slept like a rock. Like, both of us had a hard time getting up this morning. And that's 2 nights in a row I've had it, and I have slept really, really well. So if you have a hard time with sleeping, please check out Cedarwood. And if you need a resource for essential oils, I'm here and Jackie's here. Anyway, I didn't mean to go down that path. Sorry about that. But that has definitely become a part of my life, essential oils, and I'm 100% believer in them. So anyway, okay, I'm rattling off here, so I'm gonna let you go. Again, if you're listening later, please say hello so I know that you were on. yeah, I found out there's a bunch of people, not a bunch, there's some people listening, including Heather Lamp, that I never know she's listening because she never comments. I think it's because a lot of you guys are probably driving or running or whatever you're doing while you're listening. So I understand if you can't, but if you can, please comment. Also, would love it, not if you share this morning, but any other morning that you have loved, would love for you to share this with your friends. All right, guys, you have a wonderful Monday, and see you soon. Bye.